Hillary Clinton thought she could strut back into the spotlight like it's 1996 tossing snarky posts on X and acting like she still owns a stage wrong move. She poked a comedic bear, and that bear was Greg Gutfeld armed with a microphone, a smirk, and a knack for turning smug politicians into punchlines. Her latest blunder, a post on X whining about Republican war fighters acting like whiny crybabies for calling out crime in D.C. streets and New York subways, places she claims kids navigate daily. Without a hitch come on Hillary kids on the subway in 2025, that's not a bold statement. It's a fever dream. Greg saw that post and didn't just smell an opportunity. He smelled a comedy special. He grabbed that low-hanging fruit and turned it into a buffet of savage one-liners that had audiences howling and Hillary scrambling. Let's paint the scene. Hillary's been lurking on the edges of relevance, a political ghost haunting the present with outdated ideas. She's like a flip phone, once cutting edge, now something you'd only pull out for a retro laugh, but she's still out there teaching at Columbia University, posting on X, acting like one viral tweet could spark her comeback. Spoiler alert, it won't. Greg Gutfeld, a man who makes politics funnier than a viral cat video, wasn't about to let her slide back into the conversation. Without a fight, his roast wasn't just a jab, it was a cultural eviction. Notice a reminder that the Clinton era isn't just over, it's a running joke. What did Hillary do to earn this verbal smackdown? She posted on X trying to dunk on Republicans for complaining about crime in D.C. and New York. She painted them as soft whining about streets and subways school children navigate every day. Without incident, really, Hillary tell that to parents who'd rather wrestle a bear than let their kids ride the subway alone. Crime stats don't lie. Even if some politicians do, violent crime in New York City subways is up. Assaults climbing 13% from last year, robberies spiking 20%. DC's no better, with carjackings up 30% and homicides holding steady at levels that make safe streets sound like a fairy tale. Hillary's post wasn't just tone deaf. It was a platinum-plated invitation for Greg to swing and swing. He did. Greg took that post and turned it into comedic dynamite. She's back like a sore on a porn star's lip, he quipped, and the audience lost it. That line was a masterclass in starting a roast. Crude, vivid, and just true enough to burn. He didn't stop there. He mocked her for disabling comments on her X post, saying, "Oh, what, you wouldn't want to see anything unsavory." Boom, the crowd roared. Hillary, the queen of control, couldn't handle a little online pushback. That's not strength, it's fragility. In a pantsuit, Greg saw that weakness and pounced like a cat on a laser pointer, exposing her as someone who can dish it out, but can't take it. Why did this hit so hard? Hillary spent decades crafting an image as the unshakable titan of politics, First Lady, Senator, Secretary of State, presidential candidate. She's dodged scandals, investigations, and more political bullets than a Hollywood action hero. But comedy, that's a different beast. You can't spin a punchline, you can't pivot from a joke. And when Greg Gutfeld's on stage, you're not facing a politician or a pundit, you're facing a comedic sniper who's been sharpening his aim for years. He didn't just mock her post, he dismantled her entire persona brick by brick with a precision that makes surgeons jealous. Greg's brilliance is in making the truth hilarious. He didn't just call Hillary out for her subway comment. He painted her as so out of touch she thinks New York subways are a playground for kids. Kids don't take the subway, he said. And if they do, you're like, whose kid? Is that the audience erupted because they knew he was right. New Yorkers don't let their kids ride the subway alone, not with stories of assault, stabbings, and even people being set on fire. Greg didn't need to cite stats. He just pointed out the absurdity of her claim, and the laughter did the rest. But he wasn't done. He went after her whole vibe, that smug, entitled aura that screams, "I'm still relevant, and you're all too dumb to see it." He called her out for acting like crime's no big deal, accusing Republicans of whining when they're fighting for safer streets, not just for themselves, but for everyone. She's pretending the people trying to reduce crime are doing it for themselves, he said, because she's only used to doing things for herself. Ouch, that's not just a burn, it's a wildfire that left Hillary's ego in ashes. The internet went wild. Clips of Greg's roast spread like wildfire across X, TikTok, YouTube. You name it, memes exploded like confetti at parade. One showed Hillary's face on a subway rat with the caption, "Navigating rails like a school kid." Another had Greg as a chef serving a platter of roasted Clinton with a side of snark. Hashtags like Gutfeld roast Hillary and Clinton meltdown trended for days, racking up millions of views. The internet doesn't just love a good takedown, it worships one, and Greg delivered masterpiece. Why did this resonate so deeply? Because Hillary's been on thin ice for years, and everyone's fed up. She's a political equivalent of that one friend who keeps telling the same story, expecting applause. Her X post wasn't just a bad take, it was a reminder how out of touch she is. Greg didn't just roast her, he held up a mirror and showed the world what they've been. Whispering for years Hillary's not a leader. Anymore, she's a caricature, a relic, clinging to a spotlight that's moved on. Let's break down Greg's takedown, because this was a single punch. It was a combination that left Hillary reeling. He started with her ex-post mocking the idea that she's preaching about crime while disabling comments to avoid pushback. What you can't handle a few mean tweets. He smirked. The crowd loved it because it exposed her hypocrisy. She wants to lecture the world, but can't take criticism. Then he went for her past, bringing up Benghazi. And her infamous video caused an excuse. She mistook the cause of terror, blaming Benghazi on a video, seeking a scapegoat instead of assuming responsibility. He said, and the room nodded, that scandal's old, but Greg made it fresh by tying it to her current delusion. Then came the email server. Oh boy, Greg didn't just bring it up. He weaponized it. She treated classified info the way her husband treats women, casually disposable, equipped, and the audience gasped before bursting into laughter. It was brutal, bold, and exactly what people wanted to hear. He didn't stop there. He mocked her secret server, comparing it to Bill using the Secret Service to dodge prying eyes. The crowd was eating it up, and you could almost hear Hillary's team scrambling to figure out how to spin this one. But the real magic was how Greg turned her entire persona into a joke. He didn't just attack her policies or scandals. He went after her vibe, that stiff, calculated, I'm above you all energy she's been milking since the 90s. She's back announcing her return like the bird flu. Or McDonald's relaunching the Arch Deluxe, he said. And the room exploded, comparing Hillary to a failed fast food sandwich. That's not just funny. It's surgical. He painted her as has been a political Bigfoot who keeps popping up despite everyone wishing she'd stay in the woods. Hillary's reaction only made it worse. Instead of laughing it off or firing back, with which she doubled down with the same old playbook. Deflect, deny, pretend it didn't happen. She tried to keep up her unshakable queen act. But it was like watching someone fix a sinking ship with a napkin. Greg had already won, and her silence on X spoke louder than any comeback. Could disabling comments, ignoring memes, that's not strength, it's surrender. And the internet noticed clips of Greg's roast racked up millions of views with comments like Hillary just got Gutfeld. And this is why you don't mess with Greg. The fallout wasn't just a one-night thing. Greg's roast tapped into a deeper exhaustion with Hillary's endless comeback attempts. She's been trying to stay relevant since losing to Trump in 2016, popping up with books, TV shows, and now this Columbia University gig teaching public affairs. Greg didn't let that slide. Either no one's more thrilled to have Hillary out of the house than Bill. He joked, adding that Bill's offering to tutor female students. The audience roared, but the real burn was on Hillary's class. Students have called her flop less inspiring than the DMV waiting room one. Described it as a swarm of cameras and Secret Service, not a classroom. Greg turned that into comedy gold, saying she's teaching how to delete emails and destroy evidence, while also learning how to destroy Libya Savage. The internet took it from their memes of Hillary as a professor with a dunce cap. Flooded X1 viral clip showed her walking into class with the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme playing. Another had her face on a How to Fail at Everything textbook. The roast wasn't just a moment. It was a movement. People weren't just laughing at Greg's jokes. They were laughing at the truth behind them. Hillary's spent years building an image of invincibility, but Greg exposed it as a house of cards. One good joke, and the whole thing collapsed. What makes this so delicious is how effortless Greg made it look. He wasn't sweating or straining. He was having fun like a kid with a new toy. Every line was a fastball, and Hillary was swinging and missing. He didn't need to yell or get mean. He just let the truth do the talking, wrapped in a smirk and a punchline. That's the power of comedy. It doesn't just entertain. It exposes Hillary's used to dodging political attacks. But you can't dodge a joke. It hits too fast, too hard, and before you know it, the whole world's laughing. The bigger picture here is what this says about Hillary's place in 2025. She's not just a politician anymore. She's a meme, a punchline, a cautionary tale. Greg didn't just roast her. He reminded everyone that her time's up. The world's moved on, but she hasn't. She's still out there posting on X, teaching classes, acting like she's one speech away from relevance. But the laughter tells a different story when you're trending not for your ideas, but for being the butt of a joke. That's not power, that's embarrassment. And let's not forget the audience. They weren't just laughing at Greg's jokes. They were laughing at the absurdity of Hillary's entire act, her stiff speeches, her robotic gestures, her endless need to be the center of attention. It's all comedic fodder. Now Greg tapped into that, channeling the nation's collective eye roll into a roast that felt like a public service. He didn't just take down Hillary. He gave voice to everyone who's tired of her comeback tours. The memes kept coming each One sharper than the last one showed Hillary's ex-post with a red F stamped on it, like a failed homework assignment. Another had Greg as a boxer with Hillary knocked out in the ring the internet doesn't forget. And it doesn't forgive once you're a meme, you're immortal, but not in the way you want. Hillary's team probably thought they could spin this. But you can't spin comedy, it's too raw, too real. And Greg's roast was as real as it gets, so what's the takeaway? Comedy's the great equalizer, it doesn't care about your title, your resume, or your legacy. If you're out of touch, it'll find you. And it'll hit hard. Hillary thought she could waltz back into conversation with snarky post and a smug smile, but Greg was waiting. He didn't just roast her, he redefined her. She's not the queen anymore, she's a court jester. And the crowd loves that this wasn't just a takedown. It was a cultural moment, a reminder that in 2025 the world's too fast, too sharp, and too funny for yesterday's giants to keep up as. For Hillary, she'll probably keep trying another post, another class, another attempt to claw her way back. But the laughter's out there now, echoing across the internet, reminding everyone that her crown's not just tarnished, it's gone. Greg Gutfeld didn't just win a roast, he won the war for relevance. And in a world where jokes outlast speeches, that's the ultimate victory. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Subscribe for more powerful video.